Getaway that got away. This is the quilt that we were going to make. This is my version of the quilt that we were going to make at the Getaway. And today what I want to do is share with you some tips and tricks about how to use the tool in the book that was sent to you. If you didn't participate in the Getaway this year, the good news is that you get the same tips and tricks. So if you want to buy the tool in the book and make this beautiful quilt or some variation, you'll be able to do that after today using this video. So let's get started. There are two things that's my puppy. The whole family's here helping out today. There are two things that are important for this project. One is the Rapid Fire Hunter Star ruler, which if you were registered for the Getaway, you got this ruler. It's the Petite Star template and the Hidden Treasures book. So you need these two things to be able to make the quilt, okay? The quilt that you're looking at, or that you saw there, was just one way to do it. So in this book, any of the projects in this book you can make with the fabric you purchased, with that tool, and with the book. So any variation. So the first thing I want you to do is look at your book. If you look on page 9, you're going to see the 3 types of blocks that make up every single quilt in this book. Okay, the one that we used was this one. Okay, actually I think I used this one. I apologize. Block 1. So you can use you can make any one of these. It's the same fabric requirements, it's the same cutting instructions, it's just a matter of how you put that together. The next thing I want to point you to is starting on page 11 and 12 and 13 are the cutting instructions for this quilt, okay? The cutting instructions are exactly the same. It doesn't matter which of the quilts that you're going to make. It doesn't matter if you use 2 colors or if you use fat quarters like I did and 1 background color. Doesn't matter. Cutting is exactly the same. This shows you how to do it with a fat quarter. This is if you're cutting with yardage. So you have everything you need right in this book in the beginning on how to cut your fabric. So the first thing that I want to tell you is you need to take your strips. Some of you already cut these strips. This is the 1 3/4 inch strip. Okay, and this is the strip that you're going to use to make your trapezoids. All right, so we have that strip. And then what you're going to do is take your rapid fire ruler, and our blocks are going to be 7 inches. So this ruler will make 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks sizes 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're doing a 7-inch block.
Wait, can you hold that up one more time?
Sure. Can you see it? If I put it against, let me
know if
put
you
it
can see the
against
numbers.
this green. Can you see the numbers
There we
there?
go.
So 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to use is painter's tape, this handy dandy quilter's tool. And you're going to be cutting for the 7-inch block. Okay. So on this ruler, it's going to say 7-inch trapezoid, bottom line. See where it says bottom line? And then it says 7-inch trapezoid, top line. So what we're going to do is we are going to put our tape on the top line. Let me flip it around so I can mark it. And then the dotted is for your bottom. Oh, sorry. 7-inch trapezoid bottom. Okay, so I'm going to see that I've taped my ruler on the top mark and the bottom mark for the 7-inch trapezoid. Now, I use painter's tape, but if you have craft tape, you can use that. Anything that's easily removable. So whatever you have handy works just fine. So now I'm going to take my fabric. I'm going to flip this around so that I can measure it. And I'm going to place my fabric, and let me put this on the cream so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to place my fabric in between those lines so I know exactly where I have to cut, okay? So let me slide this out and I'll show you. First step is line this up with your tape and your fabric. Take your rotary cutter. Remember to tense your fingers so that the ruler doesn't move. If we do this, the ruler has a tendency to move and we put a lot of pressure on our wrist. So make sure that you tense your fingers. You're going to come on the left and the right. And that's going to be your first trapezoid. Everybody see that? Okay. So now what you're going to do is just flip it around, flip your ruler around, and cut your second trapezoid. And flip it around. And as long as you have that tape there, you don't have to keep worrying, am I positioning my ruler in the right spot over and over again. So you're going to cut these trapezoids, and those are going to be the center of your stars. And that's with your 1 1/4 inch strips. So you can take your 1 1/4 inch strips that you've mine is a little wonky because I didn't iron these beautifully out for you. So let me flatten them. And there's your trapezoids. Okay, and that's all on this page, on page 17 in your books. Shows you exactly how to do it. The only thing she hasn't told you is about this handy dandy painter's tape, which is awesome. Okay? Now we're going to sew them together, okay? And the first step with that, as you can see here, is you're going to take your trapezoids and you're going to take your 2 1/4 inch strip and you're going to right sides together. Now I have batik, so I don't have to worry so much about right sides together, but you're going to right sides together your trapezoids onto your 2 1/4 inch strip. You have to come down 2 1/4 inches from the top of your strip. And the reason is when this flips over, right, we want to make sure that we have enough here to cut our angle. So I put a pin, I measure down from the top of my strip and put a pin of where I want to start sewing my trapezoids onto my strip. Okay? I've spread them out quite a bit here. They really only need to be 1/4 inch apart. So if you want to save fabric, you can move them up a little, but for the interest of showing you what it should look like, I wanted you to see that that's how they set up. And they show you here exactly in the page exactly how to do it. 1/4 inch from the end, okay? 2 1/4 inches from the top. Then you're going to press them out. When you press them out, they're going to look like that, okay? Now, one of the things that I think is really handy is the spritzer, okay? When they start out, they're like this, okay? I spritz the seam with best press. I put best press in this because it actually makes my best press go a lot longer. Iron this seam, flip it over, and then just gently with the tip of your iron, you're going to flatten that out. It's not a battle, okay? Because that's going to warp this fabric, and we don't want to do that. So you're going to end up with this piece, and again, here it is in the book, that looks exactly like this. Here it is. It shows you exactly how to press it. Shows you exactly what it should look like, and it gives you right hand and left hand cutting instructions. So, I mean, really, the book is just awesome. Okay, so now I want to retape my ruler, so I'm going to take my tape off because I cut all my trapezoids. I mean, you can save your tape if you're frugal that way. Take your tape off. So now we're ready to cut our angled pieces. And again, I mean, you could use your old tape. I took a new piece, and I'm gonna take it and put it right along the center line. Put it on the cream so you can see what that looks like. So right along this center line. So you see half of a diamond there. Now remember, I left some space up front of my, I left a space along that top line for my angle. And I'm gonna line my ruler up on the edge of my 2 1/4 inch strip and the other edge along the side of my trapezoid. And you know, sometimes you have to play with it a little bit. I'm gonna make a cut and I'm gonna slide down to my next one. So you see there's extra here, right? I'm not gonna worry about that extra right now. All I'm doing is separating them. Okay, I'm gonna come down to my next one. Line it up along the top and along here. And sometimes, you know, these are just attached. So sometimes you have to adjust them. It's okay. And now you have these trapezoids with a little tail. Okay. Oh, this one's got a big tail. Let's square that one off. Sometimes at the end, you just want to cut a little extra piece. Okay, so there you go. You got that. All right. Now, if you notice in the book on the next page, what they're going to show you, wait, I got it upside down. Can't see it that way. What they're going to show you is to take those pieces that you cut and attach them to another 2 1/4 inch strip. Press them exactly the same and cut them exactly the same. And you're going to end up with pieces that look like this, and you're just going to square them off. So this is very simple. I didn't show you that example, but this is what they should look like when they're done. So you've got your trapezoid, your 2 tails, and you're going to have, it's a different fabric, but you're going to have a bunch of these set up. Okay? Very simple. Exact same process as you did here. Okay? With another 2 1/4 inch strip on the other side. Square them off, and you're going to end up with these. Okay? So now you're ready to put your block together. So one of the things that you did was you took a square. You had a 7-inch square that you were told to cut. Right? You had a 7-inch square and you were told to slice it down the middle. Okay, this is my background fabric. So you're gonna have, I did some of my blocks with the same background fabric on both sides. So it depends. I'm not gonna show you exactly how to put your specific block together because it depends on which pattern in the book that you pick. And I'll show you what that looks like later. But basically, you're going to take all your 7-inch blocks, if you haven't done it already, and just slice them down the middle so you have a bunch of triangles. Okay? Now, when you sew your triangle onto your trapezoid, what you're going to do is take your triangle, fold it in half.
Can you just do it?
Sorry, fold it in half. And, you know, if you want to press, you could finger press, whatever works for you. And then you're going to take the short side of your trapezoid, the short side, and you're going to place this right sides together and sew it on. Okay? And then you're going to end up with this. So on the short side, this one was unsewed. On the short side of your trapezoid, you're going to put your triangle. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Okay. So now, at the end, you're going to have a block. It's going to look like this. How cool is that?
It's cool.
Right? Really pretty. And what we want to do now is square it. And everybody loves squaring, right? That's like our favorite thing to do. And you're still using this ruler, okay? So remember, we're doing this 7-inch block. And she shows you here again the right-handed way and the left-handed way to trim your block. Same exact thing, it's just how you position the ruler. So what we're going to do is take our block. Again, where's my cream? I want to show you what's on this ruler. There are arrows. Oops, I got it upside down, sorry. There are arrows down the middle. This line is the same as this line. Okay? So what I'm going to do, and if you also notice, see where it says 7.5? We know if our block is 7.5, it's going to finish as 7. Now, if your 1/4 inch is a little bit off, it's okay. Just make it, 6 3/4. That's fine. What's important is that these arrow lines and the center line are even. So she gives you some tips and tricks in there about how, if let's say I line up the center line, but it's not even on either side of these arrows, it's better for me to shift this center line until I get it even in the center. Okay? Now, I want a 7.5-inch square. So I'm going to line up my 7.5-inch. Just see if I can get this. So the video, I'm going to do this on the cream so they can see it. Open this cream. This navy mat is great for cutting, but not great for illustrating what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so I'm lining this up on here, but I want it to be 7.5. Okay, so 7.5 here. Get my tape to show you. 7.5-inch line is here, and my 7.5-inch line is here. Okay, and those go all the way through. Now, I want to make sure that I've got that centered. I'm going to switch it, so it's okay if I only make one cut on one side and one cut on the other side, because the truth is I want to make sure I have even on both ends. So I'm gonna slide this down a little bit. And I'm gonna trim. I'm gonna trim right through this cream fabric because it's a scrap. And I'm gonna trim. Okay, and now I'm gonna flip my block around like that.
Wow. So good.
Line up my 7.5. Wait, line up my, so whoop, I can't do that. I gotta make sure I got my 7.5. 7, oh, I'm sorry guys, left-handed. Again, make sure my arrows are good here. Okay, my 7.5-inch line, my 7.5-inch line. I know that these are straight because I just cut them. And then I'm gonna cut my other 2 sides. Including my background. Here. And there you have your perfectly squared block. Okay, so everything that you need to do is here, okay? And then the question is, how do you put it together? So if you look at this book, what's awesome about this book, is that there are sets of designs using each of the block patterns. So this one uses this example. Okay, That's this block. Classic Hunter Star. These are all using, this one uses a combination of that and another block. So you decide, the first step you want to do is figure out which one of these beautiful patterns do I want to make.
I like that
really
one.
Pretty. Yeah, it's really pretty. That uses all 3 combinations. So if you look here, it tells you need 16 of these, 16 of these, and 16 of these to make this. You're going to make them exactly the same, but you're just going to put them together in a different order. So the one that I made is this one. Okay. Really, really pretty. Okay, so you have all different variations. Have at it in this book. Look at this pretty one. This is very simple design. You have all kinds of designs. Every single design in this book uses the exact same pieces, just put together differently. So, so if you did not sign up for the Getaway and you'd like to make this quilt, you need the book with all the patterns in it and the Rapid Fire Petite ruler, the one with the green cover. If you want to make, they have another book called Royal Treasures. The exact same blocks, but it's done with a much larger Rapid Fire ruler. So it's the blue one. Okay, and this is the large star template. So if you wanted to look at the, if you wanted to, you've already made, you know, a Hunter Star and you want to make something different, then you can certainly use this Royal Treasures book and the larger ruler. So for the Getaway quilt, we used the smaller ruler and this book. You can get any of these items, including the spritzer. I highly recommend glass head pins when you're putting this together because there's a lot of points here. And I highly recommend your open seam tool because, again, there's a lot of bulk in the back of this. They're all on peacefulquilting.com at the Getaway that got away. So if you click on that, I'll tell you exactly all of these products will be there, so they're easy to order. And if you were part of the Getaway, you already got this book and this template, and hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to give you one more look at our quilts before we leave. Ricky, you want to help me? My dog. And this is the finished quilt.
With Rico in front.
So I wish you all a very happy spring, and we are looking forward to seeing you again soon. And I hope this was helpful. Have a great day.